We move to this. Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Portfolio Committee Chairperson Zweli Mkhize has sounded the alarm on the state of local government in the country. Now, he's told Parliament that financial ill discipline and poor governance are at the heart of the deepening crisis, which is backed by findings from the Auditor-General. Today, we are asking you, what is the state of service delivery in your municipality? How would you characterize it? Join the conversation by sending us a WhatsApp on 072 110 5584 or give us a call on 010 594 6010. We're going to be speaking to the Cooperative Portfolio Committee Chairperson, Dr Zweli Mkhize. We're also joined by former Statistician General, Dr Badile Hotla, and the President of the South African Local Government Association, Bege Stofile, on this one. But I do want to welcome you, gentlemen, and thank you so much for giving us your time. I think an incredibly important discussion, especially when you consider that next year we're going into those local government elections now more than ever. Citizens of our communities are watching their leadership and really starting to decide on whether or not next year they're going to be bringing back those individuals and certainly the parties that they represent. Dr. Mkhize, I'll let you go first. The timing of this all-important discussion, you've said that it's time to go down the value chain and really get to the bottom of the rot. Will you set the tone for us, Dr. Mkhize?
Thank you very much, and to you and the viewers and the panelists. We certainly believe something has to be done slightly differently, looking at the report of the Auditor-General. This is mainly because if you look at it, it's almost saying things have not really changed that much from last year. You've got out of 8 municipalities or 8 metros, only one that has got a clean audit. And in the overall number of municipalities, only 16% got clean audits. You still have some municipalities with disclaimers, and you have also got others that are repeat offenders. And so we believe that a lot needs to be done to, work around encouraging, pushing, and ensuring that the municipalities can actually address the fundamental issues associated with the negative audit outcomes. And so when we talk about going down the value chain, we have at this point been just interacting with the minister, and then we've started this year to do a lot of oversight visit, going to the municipalities just to learn for ourselves what is going on. We now believe that we actually need to bring in oversight over the provincial leadership. Now, it has been noticed that in the past year or so, where there's been a change in the outcome of municipalities, it is where there's been a commitment that has come from some of the provincial leaders, such as the Premier, the MECs, and the provincial departments to put pressure on the municipalities, give them support, also ensure that things happen. We also believe that a major issue here that has to be focused on is accountability of everyone who has got something to do with municipalities in the form of what consequence management actions have taken place to ensure that the behavior is modified. And going that way, we believe, therefore, that we will, as we move out, going to meet with the provincial leadership together with the municipalities at the same time. Now, it would be remembered that the municipality has got to take responsibility because they are an independent sphere. They take decisions, they act. But if you look into the Constitution, there's a section 154 which actually says the provincial government and national government must support the municipalities. Now, we need to ask the question, what have you done to support those municipalities? In addition, there is also intervention in terms of section 139. Then we're also saying there has to be a way of knowing what support was given before there was intervention. Because in some instances, the intervention does not show the effect. So we have to get everyone to actually put their heads around sorting out these adverse outcomes.
Yeah, let's bring in Salga. Salga President, Mr. Stofile, joining us as well this evening. And there's Dr. Mkhize talking about a lot, but when we talk about going down the entire value chain, it speaks to perhaps a concern that that value chain broke a long time ago. So I wonder just how much awareness and responsibility there is from SALGA as to interventions that have needed to be taken in various municipalities and where things have broken down, particularly where SALGA is concerned, as you hear some of the issues raised by the portfolio chairperson. But you've got to look at some of this data, right? One of the things that Dr. Mkhize has talked about is in his report showing that 59% of financial statements that were submitted for auditing contained misstatements. This is despite a 1.4 billion rand cost that was spent on consultants to prepare these very statements. How did we get here, Mr. Stofile? I think your mic is off, so.
Greetings, Naledi, and greetings to Dr. Mkhize, the chair of the Portfolio Committee and the former statistician general. Let me first take this moment to convey our condolences to the families in the OR Tambo District KSD municipalities having undergone severe difficulties over the couple of days, and thank the municipalities working together with their communities in trying to find solution and trying to find roof above the heads of those that have lost their homes. And we are calling on everybody, including the business communities, to come handy, because the role of a cooperative governance is not about municipalities, but it's about mobilizing resources in the benefit of the communities. And we are then calling everybody that can give help to that community, right, at least that community, to have assistance. Coming back to your question, look, I agree with Dr. Mkhize. Here is my point of agreement. Probably his emphasis is different. His emphasis is on government. And what I'm always saying, and this I've said to Auditor-General, what is Auditor-General is telling us a governance failure. And if you interrogate that report of the Auditor-General, is a political failure, and which in Parliament I've said, this Dr. Mkhize will remember, I've said the biggest challenge that is faced by local government generally in South Africa is an invisible hand. Dr. Mkhize talks about going down to processes that we follow. The first process, let us remember that for a councillor to be a councillor, it comes from a political party. And from a councillor to be in council is managed by a political party caucus. At whatever you are talking about, if you don't fix it from political party level, you will be dreaming whilst you are walking. I think, to me, I need to make that statement. I will go into detail at some point. Let me make an example, Naledi.
Sure.
Because I like examples. At one point, there is a municipality in the Free State called Mangaung. Mangaung was at one point led by Mayor Manyone, who is now a chair of the MDP, and Sbongile, who is now in the National Treasurer as a city manager. And we were told at the time that they were operating in that municipality. That municipality managed to have a better audit outcome, even they have reserves in their bank. But the invisible hand that I'm talking about, it cut that and removed Manyone and removed Sbongile, and the municipality go to gashes. The issue that I'm raising is that as it appears as a governance failure from Auditor-General, which Auditor-General is correct, but what we need to then ponder around to try to find a reason why this municipality reached the stage where it reaches today. That is Mangaung, that is Maluta Pufung, the rural maintenance, the mayor taking the money, and his organization not accounting about that. So I'm saying if we want to complement the whole system as referred to by Dr. Mkhize in terms of Section 154, it is important that in the value chain, we ask those that are contesting elections to play their part.
Okay. I'm going to bring in Dr. Lehotla because, you know, we're hearing interesting perspectives here. Dr. Lehotla, thank you so much for speaking to us, and a good evening to you. Dr. Zweli Mkhize, chairperson of the COCTA Portfolio Committee, says, now it's time for us to take a closer look at what's happening in the, and go all the way down the value chain to fix our dysfunctional municipalities. I mean, the data here really interesting, right? 113 municipalities that are currently operating on unfunded budgets, planning expenditures that are far beyond what they could credibly finance. That's just some of the things that we're talking about here. Only 41 of 257 receiving a clean audit. So that's the perspective of Dr. Zweli Mkhize, saying, let's go down the value chain and find out what's wrong. Mr. Begestofile of Salga says, yes, but the problem we have is not just in the value chain, it's at the top, and it's the political decision and something that he's called an invisible hand. I hear this, Dr. Lehotla, and I think if you're in these communities where you've got a service delivery problem, you might be quite frustrated listening to both perspectives. So let's actually break down the data on how you would characterize the state of service delivery, and then hearing both arguments where you lean. Dr. Lehotla, you're able to hear me?
Thank you very much for my system decided to misbehave. I suppose there are heavyweights in these discussions.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Dr. Lehotla. There's a slight delay.
Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, no, that's fine. I'm saying that I'm in the midst of heavyweights and that my system decided to respond to.
Okay, we're struggling with that line. Let's try and get Dr. Lehotla on the line. We'll get him on a telephone line so that we can hopefully get some clarity. His input, incredibly important, and so is yours. Send us a WhatsApp on 0721105584. We are back in a moment. Welcome back. You're still watching Newsfeed PM, the late edition, and we are, of course, in conversation with Dr. Zweli Mkhize, who is the Portfolio Committee Chair for that COCTA Portfolio Committee, Dr. Padi Lehotla, who's the former Statistician General, and Mr. Begestofile, who is the President of SALGA. Dr. Mkhize said, let's go down the value chain and understand what is wrong with our municipalities where we're seeing financial ill discipline and poor governance. Just before the break there, Dr. Lehotla, I did ask what you make of the issue of going down the value chain versus what Mr. Stofile says is actually at the root of it, a political problem, and that is why the state of service delivery is what it is. Tell us the data that you see and how we characterize the state of service delivery as we get closer to 2026, and those arguments, what do they tell you?
There are about three things that I think we should be talking about. The first is an observation that while monotonically service delivery was improving from 2001 to 2011, we see a decline from 2011 to 2016. For 80 of the 257 municipalities. While in the period 2001 to 2011, all municipalities were improving. 80 of them between 2011 and 2016 have declined. There's no doubt that between 2016 and 2022, probably the census of the Statistician General will tell us that all of them have gone in disarray. That's one set of issues that point to something that has gone terribly wrong between those two time periods. The second, of course, is the question that was very prominent in KwaZulu-Natal, which was Operation Skumasake. In the surveys that we ran across the country, only in KwaZulu-Natal people remembered a development language called Operation Skumasake. All other provinces came with all kinds of slogans that no one remembered. That there is no development language. Not even the RDP has been a sustained development language. As a consequence, one comes to the sad conclusion that South Africa is not a developmental state that can even sustain a development language. And that is characteristic of the weakness and technical incapacity of people governing. When you run a municipality or you run a state, you must be conscious of what is called cultural economic geography. And cultural economic geography implies that in the economy, there's geography and there's culture. In the absence of those two principles, you will never get an economy going. And our system is a system of money, and money not as an instrument for development, money as in cash. And that's how we have defined our development in this country. And in the absence of those three instruments, we are just playing bumbles. We are not going to go anywhere. So my view, and not just my view, the essence of geography, it's about how local government is connected with all the other areas of development in the country. At the moment, that is not the case. That is a sad situation. Even this so-called district development model has nothing to do with district development model. Of course, you can see something better in terms of my granddaughter is patting me on the shoulder here. But let me, and I think if we were to go into the Operation Skumasake, which actually at the time of battles and what was called xenophobia, and Zbu Ndebele had actually introduced that. It was sustained by Zweli. It got sustained by even Maqingwane and Maqingwane, but I think it's been lost now. And that's the problem.
Sure. You paint quite the picture, Dr. Lehotla, I have to say. I mean, you think about some of that data that we're hearing from the former Statistician General. Between 2001 and 2011, all municipalities were improving. And then from 2011 onwards, we started to see a decline, and he supposes that the data would show that between 2016 and 2022, the decline continues to spread across various parts of the country. So what is it that needs to be done in the model, right? We're taking calls, 0105946010.
Let me just add.
Briefly, yes, go ahead, Dr. Lahotla, briefly.
Let me just add one,
yes.
if you allow me. I mean, if you look at this municipality in KwaZulu-Natal, which was the lowest, Msinga was the humber court, the last ox in all municipalities, absolutely performing badly as we measured in 2001. But guess what? By 2011, Msinga moved rapidly. And by 2016, Msinga moved even much more rapidly, moving from the last municipality in development to almost a very good one in KwaZulu-Natal. What happened there? What we know about Msinga in 1990, it was a hotbed of political violence. But people like Dr. Mahlati, the late Dr. Mahlati, Metrope, and others worked in that space for peace. And therefore, working in that space for peace, when it started real developing, it exploited the peaceful coexistence that was worked upon in the years during the height of violence in Msinga. Yeah. And it's been sustained. I suspect that they're still doing well. And these are things that we have to start to study and understand.
Right.
If we are not understanding those things, we will never get out of this trouble.
Getting to the heart of what Dr. Lehotla Soy is talking about in that developmental language and the cultural economic geography that's necessary. But let's take calls. Our callers have been quite patient as well. Moses is in Delmas. Moses, good evening. Thank you so much for calling. Talk to us.
Evening, Naledi. How are you?
I'm well, sir. Thank you for calling. What are your thoughts?
Great, thanks. Let me also greet your panelists today.
Sure.
Yeah, no. Naledi, you see, the problem is that if you have an executive, that will be your councillors, all your councillors. If you have councillors that have grade 12, grade 11, and you have a municipal manager that has got a degree, do you think that particular person will be able to take a clear instruction from a person who has not even reached a matric? If you see this decline in the municipalities, the problem that we are having currently is arrogancy in the ruling party. Right now, our municipality here under Victor Kanye local municipality have raised serious issues in Aledi. We are sitting with transformers that are exploding. The electricity is connected incorrectly. I went there myself personally. I've showed these guys everything back in 2023. I even spoke to the Director-General in Mpumalanga about this matter. I spoke to the Director-General in Gangala district.
Right.
I've also spoke to the mayor.
And are you getting assistance, Moses?
We're not getting any assistance now, ladies. I'm talking to you now. People are sitting without electricity. And those people, even if you show them what are the problems there, they don't even understand what we are talking about.
Okay.
So how do you expect the municipality to perform if the people that are in charge don't even know what is supposed to be done in those municipalities?
Yeah, because this is now a technical skill deficiency that is affecting the services that reach community members. Anonymous is in Pietermaritzburg. Anonymous, good evening.
Hi, good evening, lady. I've got a message for the president.
Okay.
We have two important problems. One is water, and the other is sewer. I suggest that the president allocate funds to each province on a yearly basis. It can take 9, 10 years. Each year, you do one province. All the water pipes need to be replaced. All the sewer pipes need to be replaced. If you get the correct people to do the job, there's no stealing money and stuff, then for the next 40 to 50 years, we don't have to worry about sewer and water pipes. Later on, he can do the same for the roads and the electricity. That is my suggestion.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Anonymous. We really do appreciate it. This has been one of those conversations that we certainly wish we had more time for, but I want to hear final thoughts from our panelists. Mr. Stofile, let me hear what you suggest, and then, of course, we'll bring it to our other speakers. There's all the argument that when we go down the value chain, we should have done so a long time ago. Dr. Lehutla says, well, there's a lack of developmental language as well in how we disseminate what we're doing in our municipalities. What do we do now that the call to go down the value chain is being made for the sake of the listeners that have called in and said, well, it's not working on the ground?
Thank you very much. I think, to me, I agree with the former statistician. There are a few things that need to happen. And I'm happy probably now Dr. Mkhize and the department is leading the review of the white paper of 1998 and its related assumptions. That most of the municipalities that are facing difficulties, I think as it was referred to, passing unfunded budget and many other things that are not linked to constitutional requirement in terms of what they need to take it and approve as a council. I think that white paper review is going to help us because it opens a debate and a conversation of what type of a municipality. I hear Dr. Lehutla talking about DDM not working, and of course it has its weaknesses and challenges. But the local government white paper tried to look at that, including the matter pertaining to the funding model and assumption related to the funding in terms of funding the white paper that it was adopted. At least if those areas are in line and we had a proper conversation, we can address some of the issues. But remember, my point is you can all have this grandiose debate and agreement or disagreement. If you don't fix it from the root cause or the baseline, there is nobody who just finds himself in council.
Right.
Somebody comes from a political party. And the political party that are passing budgets are political parties that are participating, having a majority.
Right, okay.
I'm saying it is important that you confront that if you want to fix local government.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Stofile. Dr. Mkhize, the way forward. Mr. Stofile saying you cannot ignore the politics. Dr. Lehutla saying we have failed to create a synchronized development language that goes down that value chain that you are wanting to look at. So your plan moving forward?
No, thank you very much. Let me first deal with this issue of the politics. Actually, as a matter of fact, this is one of the major problems. The political interference, political discordance, the disagreements at the top level, both at the level of the council, as well as the relationship between the administration and those who are in council and the parties that is a ruling party. It's a very, very important area where we need to correct some of these issues. However, in addition to that, we need to, from the point of view of Parliament, hold everyone accountable. For example, you need to be able to get an answer why you would have one municipality that has had disclaimers for 4 terms, has got the same council, the same mayor, the same CFO, the same municipal manager. Why has there been no action taken on those? Now, when the council can't answer that, there's supposed to be another layer as well that's supposed to deal with it, and that's the provincial government. So we need to actually hold everyone accountable for consequences for transgressions. And that, for me, is what we need to be able to deal with. The point that is raised by the former statistician general is correct. One of the problems which we have in the way we're managing is that we have had 30 years of experience, but we are not always able to capture the successes over the 30 years to be able to bring them back as the best practices to move forward. And this is the example on the Operation Sukumasake. One of the issues that were important there was the fact that you could actually mobilize the public to hold the government into account. You would also force government to go out and communicate to the public, so the public would always have a say in terms of how the situation is being dealt with.
Absolutely.
Now, that needs to be strengthened again, because people will always know. And now we've got a number of examples. For example, the gentleman who spoke from Mpumalanga, I wish we could get some of the details so that you can take that as a concrete example and go fight it all together, because Parliament is about dealing with these failures. The example of water, the dilapidated, what you call the decaying infrastructure that's been raised by the gentleman from Maritzburg. The reality is that that's one solution, but in addition, you need a system that's going to hold the engineers accountable for the problems in the fixing of this infrastructure, the mayor to be held responsible, and also the MC must also get involved and be held responsible. Then the allocated funds will not go to waste. So it has to be a combination of all of these together. But at the end of the day, we need to actually say there has to be a will from the topmost level of political and administrative leaders to make sure that there are actions taken. And if not, how do you then make sure that those who have neglected their responsibility are also able to be acted upon?
I imagine that if you're in a municipality that you're not happy with the service delivery you would want to see action taken against those who lead it. And that would be a great place to start. This is really just a conversation starter, gentlemen, and we have appreciated your time. Dr. Zweli Mkhize, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. Dr. Badilo Hotla there, giving us some reflection on just where we come from as well with the quality of services coming from our municipalities, as the former Statistician General, and Bheki Stofile, President of the South African Local Government Association. Lots to talk about. In fact, on the other side of this short break, more service delivery issues under the spotlight. This time, we focus on the water crisis. We speak to Scopa. Stay with us.